All right. Hey, we good?
Oh, hello, Wooly. How are you?
All right. My throat is a little raspy and sore.
You must be pretty tired after winning Evo.
Yeah,
I
man.
didn't follow the grand finals, so I just assumed that's what happened.
It was a hell of a grand finals, and I was playing all day, so I am super exhausted. But it was worth it. But either way, I'm gonna need to
Congratulations,
recoup.
man.
Thank you very much. I switched to Ken,
Yeah.
and I made it do what it do.
Hey, I got a question. All joking aside, who actually won Evo? I didn't.
Angry Bird, the
Angry Bird.
beast. Yeah,
Who is he
it's
playing?
Ken.
What?
So
Get the fuck out of what? Really? Ken? Ken
and
won it? Oh, I can't believe it. What? Oh my god.
yeah, man. So the thing is like that was one of those situations though where as the character is is like a current fucking hurdle and a bane on a constant level when I come across him. In fact, I lost to two Kens in my
Oh.
bracket, and that's just been the story of it. But like in particular, the way that it shaped up with that grand finals, I was happy either way because I was rooting for Angry Bird or Big Bird to make it all the way. Right, Big Bird
Wait,
is like
it was really Angry Bird versus Big Bird.
no. So Angry Bird and Big Bird are like the birds. They're like basically the UAE players that so they've been kind of killing it for a while now, and like it's just they're awesome to follow. I love the way they play. I love their shit. Big Bird has kind of like been killing it with Marissa, and has been like
Hmm.
pushing the tech and showing off like what that character can do. And Angry Bird, who he plays with their training partners and such, and they've been just grinding it together, and he does that with Ken, and they play on such a fucking super high level. They're incredible with it that
Hmm.
like when they fight, it's kind of like basically Big Bird fought Angry Bird round one of the Red Bull tournament that happened a while ago, and then
Right.
they both were kind of like, well, if you win, you're gonna win the whole thing. If I win, I'm gonna win the whole thing. That's how
Ah.
this is gonna go. And so they fought each other round one, and Big Bird beat him, and then Big Bird won that. And so this time around, now Angry Bird went all the way in at Evo. So just like the story of the birds is fucking sick, and the fact
He
that
was
they're able.
fighting Menard.
He's fighting Mena RD. Yes.
Mena RD.
Yeah.
Oh, that fucks me up because Menard's a real name that people have.
Right, but the RD is Dominican Republic, right? So
Oh, wait,
that's
RD is Dominican Republic.
so the. I mean, I think it's like Republica Dominican, like in reverse based on how you
Oh,
say
okay.
it.
Oh, that makes much more sense.
But it's not Menard. It's Mena RD, and yeah, but like the whole bit with like the birds is like they're also kind of like able to get that strong in an environment where it's like it's pretty much just them, right? There's like not a ton. There's a community as far as I understand, but like there's not a ton of other known players from the UAE. So you kind of have like a little bit of an Arslan Ash situation of like they're getting that good in a small environment on their own, and then just kind of like being able to play other people when they can, and having good online of course makes a huge difference. But it's super sick to see that, like out of a
I
pocket
saw
comes
I saw
that level of
Arslan
skill.
one again.
Yeah, man. I mean, what a like it's just beasts,
Don't
so
even
like
don't even go.
Middle Eastern players on the fucking rise, just killing it, man. And yeah, so like even though he played Ken, I wanted like I had the birds as my picks like going through this because they're super fun to watch play, and they're
Hmm.
great. And yeah, and having talked a little bit on Twitter before, but getting to meet in person as well and catch up and talk and be like, "Oh, what's up, guys?" and everything was very chill. But at the same time, having Mena just rock Blanca in grand finals is a spiritually satisfying thing that is so fucking sick to watch. And I love the character play. I love the way everyone reacts to it, and I love the look on everyone's face as they have to come to terms with something that they don't want to come to terms with, right? The idea of what Blanca is and has been for the last couple decades, and now you have to face and swallow a really hard to swallow pill, which is this is the most technical character in the game, and whatever fucking memes you're going off on are bullshit at this point, because before it was I could do whatever a Blanca player can do, fuck those guys, we don't fuck with them, and now it's like you can't do shit, you cannot do any of those setups, you cannot play this character. Right? You have to acknowledge that shit. It's the most technical. It's not, you know, from being beneath.
It is back to the nightmare that is CVS 2, where Blanca
he's beneath me is the energy that everyone likes to fucking hold on to. Well, now what? Now what? Do that shit. Show me.
I have to say, maybe I'm just like a salty baby, stupid shit fuck. But the finals being Ken versus Blanca is like, in my opinion, the worst outcome for all humans, because like Ken was already like Ken is got like that Sub-Zero thing going on where it's like half of all people are playing Ken, and it's going to be even worse now. And now, like, regular non-freak humans are going to see that Blanca got to the grand finals and, like, go, oh, maybe I'll play Blanca. And that will create more Blanca players.
But that's not true. And that's the thing is, when it comes to... it depends on the way the character's played. It depends on what's going on. Mena also killed it with Birdie back in Street Fighter V. And that didn't make an explosion of Birdie players really happen, right?
Yeah, you're right.
There are these things over time. Sometimes you'll have these moments where, like someone, Makoto, right, pops up on stream in like Super Street Fighter, and then you see a huge influx of people jumping into the Makoto boards on shoryuken.com, like, oh, whoa, what's going on with this character, right? And there's always a moment where a character getting into top 8 on stream is going to like increase the popularity of people checking them out. Like, just that's the nature of it. But by relative comparison, for what you'd expect, like it didn't happen then, and I don't suspect it's going to happen much more now. But there's definitely going to be people going to lab and figure out how to deal with that and want to know what's going on, because obviously it's strong. And then character representation in general was kind of surprising because, you know, I was looking at like a chart of like the top 96 players and how many of each character made it, and like despite what you'd expect, I mean, Ken obviously a whole lot of them. JP coming in second, a ton of JPs.
Also unshocking.
But then like not as much Jury as you'd expect. You know,
I expected to see Cammy and Jury like all over that place, and they were not
right. And Luke as well, who Mena also was playing, which is like Luke is Japan considers Luke to be the best character in the game, right? You know, by their metric for like overall ability. But like, yeah, you didn't see as many in that situation as well. It was really just a JP and kind of Ken game. So all this, and even, you know, Marissa's as well. Like Marissa was, you know, not like there was a couple, but here and there, they just some placed high. Of course, Shuto was a Japanese Marissa player that got pretty high as well. But all this to say that, yeah, it's I don't suspect people are gonna suddenly just, you know, start rocking a Pocket Blanca that aggressively.
I hope not. That would be just the. So you know what actually shocked me the most? I saw that chart you were talking about.
Okay.
0 Hondas. 0.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
like, maybe I'm a scrub, but like when I mess with Honda and I play with Honda's buttons, I'm like, there's just a lot of good things about this character that seem to work really well.
But it's just the difference between like the high level competitive play and the things that work at a basic level. It just doesn't apply once you're dealing with people that have labbed solutions to what your gimmicks are, right?
I believe that, because Zangief is assuredly worse than Honda, and there was a Zangief in that top 96.
there you can steal rounds with like making hard reads, getting lucky.
That's not a steal. They're doing a good job. They're doing a great job. They're working hard.
Absolutely, right. But overall, what determines things is bending the odds in your favor, right? And so a character like Lily, for example, has a very simple but good game plan, which is like she can win clad, and that makes her ability to get in on you create a mix-up, a 50-50. It's just like, I make you block the spire, and then you have to do something, or you have to guess, right? And that seems like it would work right all the way across the board, but the better players get, the more they find ways to just not have to deal with that. And the more they find ways to, overall, like, even if you do get put into that situation, the rest of what the character is doing is not that scary anymore. So if your best thing is still a predictable thing, like if you don't have any other facets to mix it up with to create a more complex approach, a top player is going to beat you every time, and so that's kind of what it comes down to, is like the best characters have a variety of things they can kind of do to cover their approach, and they have a widespread tool, or they have like an insane, sometimes you'll have like one insane ability. So like again, Marissa's damage is incredible.
I saw a fantastic video that was, how come Marissa doesn't have any truly awful matchups? And it was because she is one hit away from doing this.
That's it.
And it was her hitting her back hard punch,
back heavy punch,
and doing 70%.
Yep, up, down.
And it was like, the back hard punch into a dash, into the back hard punch, into the back hard punch.
That's not even
into all of her stupid shit.
That's a suboptimal combo as well. That's like that's weaker.
Yeah, I know, but like, it's also brain dead. I can do it. I've done it, and it's like, wow, this is brain dead as shit.
So what ends up happening is you play around trying to land that, and then everyone's like, all right, I know you're trying to land that, and you have a character that's like, this is my game plan, I'm going to try to land that. If you neutral jump a lot of the shit that she's doing, people are like, kind of like, you're able to like land on top of her in a bunch of cases. You can jump in on her because her anti-airs are not fantastic compared to most of the cast. Yeah, anyway, I don't want to go into too in depth with it, but just the point is kind of like that one touch ability in the right situation will delete a round, and then and she'll spend her level 3 on it, and then like you're back to like, okay, how do I contain her in a box? And she has to kind of make a wild guess to like get in on you and then make that happen. And if that wild guess never happens, then she gets deleted, right? So it's just like, yeah, there's like a sort of an even keeled, tier list discussion at the moment of just like, yeah, she can always get that thing, but then there's and she'll feast or famine in her results. You know? When you die as her, you die hard. Oh, I got
that good hit! Yay! Oh, I didn't get that good hit. Oh.
And then there's characters who are like the complete opposite of that, right? And you don't see them as much because they take more work. But like Chun-Li, for example, who is a very well-rounded character that has a lot of good shit, also doesn't have any real like bad matchups per se, but that's because she just has like, she has a gun for every job. She has a tool for everything that she needs. It's a variety of skills covering a wide base, and like the better the player, the better they can switch to all the things they can do to handle the situation. So it's kind of interesting, because you have the same results, but one is more volatile, one is less volatile. And so if you want less of a dice roll, you pick a character like that, Yeah, man, Evo was fucking wild. It was awesome. Very, very cool. Just exciting to see how, the scope and everything is changed and increased. And, shout outs to Rick the Haddo for the way he's running things and such. There's like a lot that's gotten better, and there's some stuff where I'm like, okay, I want that fixed. But overall, I had a really good time in person. And for a lot of people who came, it was their first time as well, excited because they're playing Street Fighter 6 and getting into it for the first time. And all of that has led to the convention side of the tournament being equal in size to the tournament itself, right? There's so much you can do and spend your time.
Fighting Game Land.
Fighting Game Con happening right next to the bracket is a 3-day thing that you can absolutely throw yourself into. And to the point where, you know, the moment I have of just like, okay, player, content creator, right? That's there's a fork in the road, so to speak, you know, and excuse me, and that same decision I made to not, you know, start playing it early in order to be able to compete. Same thing. So Friday, I couldn't check out any of that stuff. I had to play my games, and then I was there with a bunch of other guys from Montreal. You know, Snafu, Chirithi, Fluxwaves, Reggie. We're all there competing, and like, so we watch. You got to support. You got to, you know, roll with the crew together, and everyone had some pretty crazy matches. I mean, Reggie fought Fudo in his pool, like as his like second game or so. You know,
how'd he do?
Yeah, well, he got Fudo'd. You know, but it was still that ends up taking up most of that Friday. You know, which means that would have been the time to go get hands on Project L, but like it that doesn't happen. You know, so then it's like, okay, maybe Saturday, but I have to decide between throwing half of Saturday at Project L or all the other shit and people that I've got to go see and stuff. So it, like, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to touch Project L, you know. So, you know, I watched a bunch of it, and I saw a lot of Yasuo who was announced as well. Very, very cool. And like one of the best things there was like there was an arcade that is a part of the event now that wasn't there before, where there's a MagFest style massive room of just like machines for everything, and they had a Project L arcade machine, you know. So there's the big line back in the dealer's area, and then there was like one machine set up with like 4 seats for 2 people to sit on each side, and there was a lineup for that one, of course, too. But watching it played in a cabinet environment was very, very cool.
Did you get to touch Mortal Kombat?
No, I didn't. Again, I kind of was like, I'm not going to line up. I'm not going to line up for anything, right? I'm going to try.
Yeah, it'll happen.
You remember,
like, Project L is free. Don't line up for it. It'll come to your house.
You remember what it was like when it was like you're checking out like a PAX, exactly, and you're like, do I want to get 4 games that I really want to play out of this day, based on lining up for each one for hours, or do I want to, you know, touch more things, right? So, and
the answer was no, except for the Bloodborne booth over there.
So there you go. I mean, for me, I'm just like, yeah, that's all right. I'd rather see more things and do more and such, and you know, plus, and again, like, it's Fighting Game Con, so there's a ton of people that I recognize, and vice versa. Like when I got to like the indie row was wild because it was literally like 5 games straight up right there that were all games I've played on the channel and I've like done like promotion and like helped them out with and stuff, and so I'm like seeing everyone like, hey, yo, what's up? Just running down the row, you know. I'm like, okay, I got to get over to my pool because, you know, my boy's about to fight Daigo, but I'll be back, you know. And it's just, and like literally the entire row's like, yeah, okay, you know, stuff. So that's awesome, you know. And then the junk food setup was over there. They had the snack boxes.
A lot of people talking a lot of good stuff about junk food.
Yeah, man, they're killing it, you know. Saw them and you know, got to, yeah, just like went like, holy shit, I can't believe that sold out so quickly. That was amazing. The getting to fighting games and WoolieVersus snack boxes just fucking flew. And then a bunch of people were lining up around to get the Evo ones that were like, you know, to bring them to the signing later and stuff. So like they sold some more like extras in that context as well. And so I tried out the new thing they're working on, the Whirl, which is like it's like a snack box, but it has like the keyboard sort of layout, the WASD button, and then it has like thumbsticks for like if you want to play other types of games as well. So they've got like all kinds of cool stuff going, but it's super dope to see how that's coming along. And you know, especially considering I was telling them, like, it's really easy when the thing is good. When the stick is good, it's very easy to be like, yo, get this good stick. It's light, travels easy, you can customize it.
Advertising is incredibly easy when it's good. Like, they paid me to play Double Dragon last week, and I'm like, okay.
That's it, you know?
Sure.
And then
Who's gonna stream it anyway?
and it doesn't helps. Well, it doesn't hurt as well that like I guess anyone who also knows about like so the hitbox side of things, when Hitbox tried to fucking sue them over the layout of a leverless stick, it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing, man? This is a small
Trying
community.
to fucking own this new gimmick, bro.
This is a small community.
Copyright.
We all are trying to help each other, and like the idea of just trying to Ouroboros any of that shit is so stupid considering how limited of a group we are. So that was just a bad look across the board. So people were also like, yeah, fuck that. That sucks, you know?
I have a bit of a strange question to ask you about Evolution, the fighting game tournament. How do you feel about the new trend, or if not the new trend, but the more popular trend this year, of players walking up to their matches and masturbating the entire time they're playing their sets? Oh, you didn't see this?
Okay, so something very important to get across is when you're at Evo, you're in it and on the show floor, and there's a lot that happens on stream that you're not aware of. So you guys at home are finding out more on a regular basis than the people that are there, because you're getting the consolidation being online, and we're just seeing what we're seeing in front of us. And someone goes, "Oh my God, yo, check this tweet. What's up?" But
so what I'm referring to is there are a bunch of players that were like, "I don't want anyone to see my stick." So they were walking up, sitting down, throwing their stick down, and then throwing a blanket over their entire lap.
Oh, yeah.
And then just
the box. Yeah.
Just furiously beating it.
Yeah, okay. Jesus Christ, man. I was like...
It looks real bad on stream,
Okay. For a second, I was like... What the fucking Smash Brothers are we talking about? What? No, okay, all right. Yes, the stick hiding tech.
It looks real bad.
Well, that's not new, first of all, because if you go back a couple years, you'll see Mad KOF. Shout-outs to Mad KOF, a KOF player back in the day who would have an entire curtain set up for the stick that would like be at the right height for the seated chip play, and it was like it had like branding on it and everything. It was like detailed, but it was a curtain to hide stick inputs, right? And the hilarious thing about that is tons of people, especially people who grew up playing Western arcade style machines and not the Japanese style where you face each other, are instinctively used to reacting to people pumping or churning butter or doing something on Wake Up. And it's like, sometimes people listen to inputs. Listening to inputs is a thing, and they talk about it. And it's like, you shouldn't technically be doing that, but it's instinctual for some people. And at the same time, to counter that, fake buttons became a part of the strategy. So people would do, like, Wake Up nothing, but they start pumping, right? Or, like, they'll use there's new arcade sticks like the Cross Up, where it's like you have a fake button that's just a directional button. And you could do, like, quarter circle forward, fake button. And then nothing comes up.
You can't stop people from being physically present next to the person they're fighting.
And I remember, like, when we had some of the arcade players from the old school arcade I used to play at that came out to play at some of the new locals, they would do things like that. They would pump and do fake motions, and people were like, what the fuck is this tech? And it's just like, yeah, that's old arcade tech. You want to keep your corner? You make people react to nothing, right? So that's one way. Or you hide
Evo
your hands
the way
and use
StarCraft runs their tournaments with the box.
Yeah. It's hilarious, man. I mean, even if you put headphones on, you can still hear taps, hear inputs.
Oh, yeah. You can see the
out of the corner
arms
of your eye, you see the person
Yeah.
next to you doing things, right?
Snake Eyes plays controller. Never mind.
Yeah.
But the Zangief player
Alex
next to me
Valle.
is just churning butter real
Yes.
bad.
And it's something that, like, it's a bad habit. If you do it, you shouldn't. But, like, it is ingrained. Your brain will absolutely just, like, instinctually sometimes just, like, recognize emotion that someone's body language is giving away, So yeah, no, hiding the tech or so. I think it's hilarious. I think obviously most players just deal with it and are just like, yeah, well, if that shouldn't be a determining factor in whether you win or lose. But when it's Evo, I mean, everything is a determining factor, right?
Hmm.
Talking to a lot of players about this, like one of the things you'll hear often is a tournament like this is not a, it doesn't determine who the best player is. It determines
Hmm.
who's the best on that day, right? There's your best of like that you're consistently at, but the way you feel, the amount of jet lag you have, how you like, there's a million factors that can choose how your play is gonna go, how well rested and so on you are, and then there's just like the part where it's not a round robin 7,000 person tournament. You don't fight everybody and see what happens.
Hmm.
You kind of there's randomness to it, so yeah, it's there's it's the best of
I I
how
don't
you
know,
feel
man.
that day.
You're completely right about that part, but I feel like that is like ingrained and somewhat obvious for every competition that's ever existed in the history of anything.
Hmm.
Like you can't control the events for
No, but
Joey New Jersey's mom died last night
of
before his
course,
Evo,
right?
you know.
Or Chris Tatarian's car got stolen
Oh, that's
the morning of, or a whole bunch of Japanese players or had a flight where the engine needed to be fixed before they could take off, so they had to like fucking scramble to get there just in time for their pool to start because delaying a flight from Japan is obviously insane. Like a million crazy factors that you just can't possibly account for. What often happens though is then the reason why this comes up is because when you play and you're like, ah, shit, I knew I should have had that match or whatever, you're like, I know I can do better than that. I know how to fight that character or that person. There's like, yeah, there is when you're thinking about yourself at optimum play at your best, and it's like there's the external factors are a part of this. When you're like, I just, yeah, I wasn't feeling it. I was off. I was in my head. I was, one of the things that happens. I mean, one thing for me for sure was over focusing on like basically I played some sets before leaving, and I was like, okay, here are the holes in my game plan. Here are the problems and the things that I lose to, that I shouldn't be losing to. So
hmm.
I'm gonna study up on the plane, and I spent the entire flight just looking up information on like how to fix the stuff that I was weak at, and then holding too much new information in my head going into these matches instead of just letting your muscle memory and instincts and just playing your game, the way you would. Because yeah, thinking of new things while you're going into this stressful environment type of thing is just like, that's not a great idea.
Yeah.
Adapt something slight if you can, but otherwise you should mostly have your muscle memory and game plan just kind of going. So
I mean, and some people don't do any of that shit. Some
nope.
people just show up.
Sometimes you do, but a lot of the time, the people that just show up, like there's a point you'll get to where your raw skills and like experience will carry you, you know, pretty decently far into the bracket, but you'll hit a wall where now the people who have been practicing grinding and even looking up other people that they would run into in the bracket have and to prepare, you're just not going to pass that. You know, there's the like you're a godlike player, but you didn't practice or look up anything, and you're a godlike player and you did, and like there's a hard wall where you can see that top 96 going upwards. You're like the people who are going beyond this are the ones who like spent their time looking at each of these names and taking a moment to consider, what it would mean. And also too as well, like sponsored players is a part of that where, if your sponsor is it depends on what the nature of whether they're just kind of like, hey, we fly you out, or whether they're like we're gonna cover your approach for the whole strategy, the whole tournament. Like sometimes the sponsor is like, I got your hotel room paid for, wear this shirt. Sometimes the sponsor is, here's your water bottle. Do you need anything? Did you eat? Okay, let me go get some, breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay, you also go practice for a bit, warm up. The sticks are working, everything's good. Like there's that level of it where you're like making sure that the player is like ready to go.
Putting money behind this player, we want this player to perform at their peak so that our sponsorship looks good and gets on the front page. Blah 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 blah.
Exactly. So, and I know that's much more normal for FPS and RTS esports.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, there's like an exercise trainer that comes and has you jog in the morning.
I saw the most absolute toxic, fucking hilarious post the other day about like, hey, don't be sad about drowning in pools, as most of you will. Instead, get to know the person who eliminated you, become friendly, and then get invited back to their hotel room, and while they're busy, playing, steal all their Fiji waters and leave.
Get hit with the fucking charge. Open up the fridge and take shit out of the fridge. Blow up the credit card. That's so evil.
It's
so
and
evil.
we're talking about getting ready for the thing, and you said the top 96 is just like the impossible thing. Like only real people are getting into that part of the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
And in the back of my mind, I'm like, or you could have your uncle just put you into the grand finals and embarrass your whole country.
Oh, yes, exactly. Or you can just hit the fucking starting block and have all the sprinters run by, and you kind of I saw that clip and I was like, was this? I'm like, I had to wait a moment because I'm like, hold on, is this like maybe like a special needs thing or like a charity moment? Is there some sort of part of this where there's someone being involved that is like kind of like to represent something?
Those of you who do not know, we're talking about the recent track and field section of the World University Games in China, in which the Somali delegate or athlete, I guess, is the niece of the Somali athletics director for the country, and has never run a day in her life, and looks like me competing at the world level track and field.
Amazing. So you see a track and field meet where the sprinters sprint, and then this lady just jogging it down,
she's
doing what she can.
I posted the link in the live chat if you want to. If you don't want to, if you're not listening to this live, you can go to just Google Somali runner takes over 20 seconds to complete the slowest ever 100-meter dash.
Break a record. shout outs to nepotism. Amazing. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
It's funny because this has been like a thing that people have been joking about for years, is that like for every Olympic event they should have an average person competing next to them.
For comparison, yeah, to show you.
It would make it look so much more impressive.
Yes. You need a margin of a margin line. You need absolutely, the little humans that stands next to the T-Rex for scale. So that was so that was a fun thing. In the end, I as per usual, I make it to the end of my pools and I die before I can get out, because that's just what I am. And I honestly, and I also had just one of the worst starting matches ever. And it's interesting because the metric that we're kind of looking at now is like they seed you according to like your placement in other events and where they expect you to go and yada yada. So you can hit projected and see where Evo thinks you're gonna end up. There's a button on the bracket to see where you're expected to land.
Oh, that's oh man.
And so like it's like some people are just like, I don't click that shit. I don't even want to know.
Oh no, I gotta see it. I gotta see it.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, get me in there. Let me see. And they're like, oh, they do, and like they project I'd make it out in losers, and I'm like, okay, so the goal then is to treat this like golf rules and see if you can hit above par or below par, and
want to beat the robot.
Show the
robot that I was better than it thought I was.
Exactly, But no, I just it's at that it's the same result as always. Like good enough to get to that deciding point, not good enough to make it to break through. And the drops that you make where you're like, I wouldn't drop this normally in any regular circumstance, but the Evo environment situation is making you play more like worse than you usually would. That's for that applies to everybody. We're all doing that. So you're like dropping shit. You're like, what the fuck? And then you're trying to not get in your head about the fact that you drop something that you never usually drop.
I saw people in the chat just earlier saying it was nice to see that even the world champion drops Ken combos in the middle of their matches.
Everyone gets hit by drive impact. We are all human. The most important thing to learn from watching this bracket this weekend is no matter how good you are, even Angry Bird and Mena and Sonic Fox, everyone that like literally that you look at all your top player, like top 96 player people, everyone's getting hit by drive impact at some point. You can think that you've got the perfect reactions for it on a perfect day, but there's going to be situations where you cannot.
I forget. I want to say it was Rooflemonger, but I'm not sure. But they were streaming and they were talking about fucking DJ's jump scare, a fucking drive
rush. Yeah.
And they were loading into a match with DJ, and they're like, okay, I know it's coming. Just react. React.
Yep.
And immediately got drive rush jabbed.
Yep. Exactly.
In frame one of the thing, like he's discussing how it is going to happen to him,
and
it's still so fast.
That
it happened.
Shout out to Rooflemonger. He was on the flight back, so
I think it was Rooflemonger. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we got to chill and talk for a while and stuff. Yeah, it's amazing to know exactly what's coming and still have no ability to really handle it or deal with it. Those are the craziest and most frustrating moments. And that's why the joke is, oh, Honda's easy, just perfect parry, bro. Right? Just PP it, bro, has become a meme because it's like if you want to deal with headbutt, 2-frame, perfect parry, drive rush in, blow him up. What's the problem, you know? And it's like, yeah, you have it's hard. This is it. It's hard, right? I don't know, like I forgot, like wherever it was, there's like I don't know if you remember me screaming because it's hard, Pat. Like
I remember playing Guilty Gear. I remember playing Strive, and like Potemkin's that little crouch clap he does.
Yeah.
Right, that beats Dolphin, like every time.
Fuck.
And so like when I was playing, people were like, yeah, just do fucking 6P. Like on reaction to the Dolphin's fucking instantaneous.
Right. And so this exact thing is, but it's fucking hard, is why modern competitively is a thing, and why, as predicted, a modern player made it to top 8. I was like, what is the representation we're going to see, and how high is modern going to get? And I'm like, I bet you we're going to see modern in top 8. I bet you. Like, looking at the way it's happening right now online, Japanese players using it and the way they're using it, I don't think you're going to see a ton of them, but you're going to see it, you know? And I mean, so top 6 now is the format that we go with for Sundays. But either way, there's, Haitani and Shuto showing you that, like, the sacrifice for your damage that you take with the modern button, it doesn't matter because people have no ability to anti-air you unless you're sneezing. You know what I mean? Like, and so we got to watch because Chirithi, for example, like he went out to a modern Ken player in the bracket that was just like, the moment you do anything that looks open for a second, hit the button. I don't care. I'm not gonna, why?
I'm not dropping combos because these are modern combos.
So, but they can, because you still have to do.
Yeah, I know, but they're not the same.
They're not doing the assist combos necessarily.
They're a different world.
You're not using you're not like in competition. You're not using the assist combos to do your stuff, because like in some situations you might do it quickly for like a particular exchange, but you will still want to do good damage, which means you have to do it manually. But you're using modern buttons for the fast anti-airs, for instant level 3s, and just anything that is a reaction check should no longer be that. But he did some cool shit where, like, there was a moment where Henry was like, okay, Chirithi was like, okay, every time Cammy's jumping in or doing anything like airborne, modern Ken, sure you can button. No, you don't, right?
Yeah.
So he did a shallow dive kick and then made Ken whiff a Shoryuken. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, there we go, right? Then, I mean, this is classic Street Fighter antics or so, but you just have to be even tighter because of the modern reaction. So then so then that guy gets a little more hesitant to do that in the future. So then the next jump in, he kind of just waits for the dive kick that never comes. It's a normal jump in, and it works. And we're like, yeah, let's go. And now we're playing the game, But then the third time, he just presses it and goes all the way in and blows it up. It is also interesting because modern versions of the characters, they lose some pretty crucial tools in some cases, right? Luke is the one who's got like the most going for him in Modern, whereas Marissa in Modern I find is crazy. But there is, again, Shuto is a great Japanese player that uses it. She loses the Sparta kick entirely. She completely doesn't have that move in Modern mode, and to me, I'm like,
oh really?
That's nuts. I don't want to play without that.
Ew.
You know,
That's weird.
but makes up for it by using just a one button Gladius. You know, but in any case, not to get too in depth on that. We we had overall, you know, that was my bracket. Reggie got out of pools and then won his next 3 matches, so he did really well. And then he would not
Good
that
for
he
Reggie.
not that he would say it, right? Because the match he went out on was one where he played like badly, you know. But the match right before that was one of the cleanest he ever played. And it is interesting because like we got to watch and see. We're like, okay, so Reggie's direct strength is when he fights somebody who's playing properly, honestly, and he can out footsie and play that game really, really well. And when he plays against someone that's going insane, that's the weakness, because it's like he's trying to control the chaos, so to speak. You know,
That's so Ryu.
it is, isn't it? Even when he's not playing Ryu. So that's kind of what happens there. And then, you know, the rest of the crew as well, you know, they made it further in, but unfortunately, you know, didn't quite make it all the way. It's the first Street Fighter tournament. It's also a first Street Fighter Evo 2 months out or whatever. And there's a point too where you have to think to yourself, hold on a minute, like how many tournaments have I participated in? For me, the answer is Evo was my third, right? For Reggie, it was the second. And then for a number of people, you're like, yeah, it's like, you know, single digit or so. But for some of the people that go hard, there's been an online bracket every week. There's nearly one every day in some cases. And like players like Flux Waves are competing in a tournament bracket every single day. Like online somewhere, someone's got a thing going. Yeah, I'll join. You know, and like when you think about that level of grind, you're like, of course, you're going to get all the most matchup knowledge you can. You're going to get everything out of, you know, your dedication at that point. And I'm like, I'm just kind of like, I know for a fact I don't have that ability to grind it out. And I'm a player who needs to spend my time kicking the tree, Rock Lee style. I know my intuition only goes so far. Raw seeing the information and making up for it with experience is how I actually get better at things. So, you know, you gotta just go, all right, how much time can I put into this? What's my schedule gonna be? But good times with that. As I mentioned, there was a couple other things going on as well. Yeah, Project L, fucking the amount of fun that's gonna come from duos talking shit together, elbowing, you know, like tag me in, bro, you should just burst, all that shit we were talking about. Like, it's absolutely gonna be a humongous fun thing that is gonna make competitive Project L very different from anything we've seen in fighting games up to this point. And I think that on its own will be like a huge factor in it being a hit. It's going to be different from what Street Fighter 6 and every other fighting game has been doing up to this point, just to watch it competitively with two people interacting with each other, you know? It might even be fun to have them mic'd up for stream so you can hear what each team is saying to each other and stuff, you know?
I want it. I want just mental breakdowns. I want screaming matches. I want friendships destroyed. I want the winner. You know what I want? I want to go and watch the finals of Project L and have that SBO shit where one person just wins the whole thing and then the second person just sits there and goes,
Never played.
I'm the champion.
Yep. So that's exactly it. I mean, literally. So a couple months ago, Chirathi and another player from Montreal, PTS, went to France for a Third Strike tournament, and they won the team tournament. And it's a 3v3. Their third player, Younes, a dude from here, didn't go. He couldn't make it, and they still entered as just the two of them and won without having their third player. and they're like
physically even there,
and they just never got to the point where they needed him. And then they got back to Montreal, handed him his prize, his trophy, and went, here you go. You know? Like, the best third strike player that didn't enter a tournament. It was incredible. That is a thing. Absolutely. There will be people that beast hard. But at the same time, the game's combo system kind of it encourages the tagging. So I think you're not going to be able to go too hard without a tag coming out of the launch button switch, system. But that was a lot of fun. Over in the indie row, shout outs to, Drag Her was there, the fighting game. There was a Kickstarter for it a while ago, but it was a fighting game based on the drag community, and that thing's coming along. There's new characters in that. It's wild and like just all about you're learning how to spill the tea, so to speak. And they give up. Like, I got a fan for it as well. Like fun to see how that's coming along. We tried out. We saw next to them was Corruption as well. I've been tweeting out every once in a while just like combo videos of like tech characters in a like sort of Mass Effect kind of setting, just doing air combos and Virgil shit. Nice to see how that's coming along as well. More characters, and they've kind of reimagined the game from the ground up to no longer be like an arena fighter. So plays a lot better, and I'm really looks cool. Then there was Head to Head, the game that has my head in it as from Arc Forged. Super fun with that. They added more characters to that as well. Lots of what these games have in common is like the Marvel sauce and the ability to just blow shit up and dirty cross-ups, things that make you go, ow, and because Arc Forged is working on multiple of them. So you get that. Five Force Fighters, which is the game where I describe it as essentially Huey and Riley Freeman Dragon Balling all over the screen. And you probably if you're thinking of you've probably seen it, but it's just like like straight up these like really stylish game of just like a Boondocks fight scene playing out with the superpowers going. It was tons of fun. That thing is great, and got to meeting the creator there was very cool. Arcus Chroma, the from GX Grainson, who made Hyper Hitboxing. That thing was awesome as well. Like, I'm super happy to see that coming along, and just got to chat. And I mean, that game is like, it's one of my favorites because it's just like, it's a fighting game with no jumping, and everyone's got a dodge button. So I'm in love with it mechanically. It's so much fun. And just all of the indies doing it. Checkmate Showdown was there. Pocket Bravery was there. Tough Love Arena. All of them. Cool to see. Susie was around, killing it as Manon, and just kind of like created a impromptu photo like booth area at the Capcom booth, and just kind of like, they're like, can you just stick around and be the booth Manon to like take photos with? So she did that, and that was great. And then we caught up in
what was it like hanging out with Lythero?
I didn't meet Lythero.
Yeah, you did. You signed his face.
I did, in fact, meet Lythero. Yes. No. He showed up, and his plushie showed up, and I was asked to sign his face. So a signing of the face I did do.
The person who brought that to you was in my stream last night.
Yeah.
And they described to me that the exact reaction they were looking for was, and that they got it.
Well, because
like, that was engineered to cause
Captain Pile Driver
exasperation.
So Captain Pile Driver came over and like was like, "Yo, do you want me to go get Lythero?" And I was like, "Oh, is he around? Yo, yeah, okay, cool. No, we haven't met him yet. That's all. That'd be awesome." And he's like, "Yeah, okay." And then he kind of turns around and then just reaches in his bag and pulls the play. I'm like, "You fucking, because like we're at Evo. It's legitimately a possibility.
It's the perfect time to hit you
that
with
he could be standing right over there. So yeah, that happened. The meetup was a bit like odd as well because last time we did a meetup, we'd go to the arcade at Fremont Street, but it's like an hour away, and I didn't want to have that. People ask people to leave the venue to do that and stuff. So I was like, let me just find somewhere at Evo to do this, and luckily we found that bar. And then when we went to it, we just kind of like found a table, sat down, and then people kind of started just creating a semicircle instead of a line, and I was like, oh, then it became like now I'm like holding court doing like a panel. And I was like, I don't have material, guys. I don't know what, and then like Susie came over and just kind of saw that and was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, okay, well, I'm out, but I'll catch you. And then she just, went over and like, okay. And then thankfully, Maguma was like, okay, everyone line up. You guys this
do
way.
The line, man. The semicircle
like,
sucks because then the people in the edge of the semicircle don't want to leave the semicircle.
So then we figured it out and it was fine. But like, it was, I'm like, I got nothing for you. What do you, hi, But that was cool. We figured that out as well. And of course, that by that point, you're like, okay, my throat is just going to be gone. Like, I'm not going to be able to talk on Sunday, much less cheer. And I was, for everyone that I spoke to and, everyone that like, again, like, thanks to everybody that's like, yeah, you got me back into fighting games and all that. I'm like, that's the job, mission accomplished. So many people were there in just that capacity and as spectators had a great time. And I asked some folks, I'm like, hey, did you get your Sunday tickets? And some people were like, nah, they were sold out, unfortunately. It's like, okay, well, maybe next time or so. But if the answer was yes, then I was like, you're in then. Like, I don't want anyone to feel bad. So yeah, right. So I'm not going to tell you to your face, like, sorry, you're missing out on the best part of the weekend. But if you got in there, it's the best part of the fucking weekend, and it's still great without it. But the floor itself and all the cool shit going on, like capping it off with that giant arena, is the fucking best, man. And for those who were there, you saw it. I put some of that out there again. The room full of people going, yeah, whenever they didn't skip it, of course. Tons of fun, man. And like, that's the level where they're like, okay, so where are we at with Evo? We're at the level where the governor of Nevada is coming out to award Evo Day on August 8th in Nevada, and to give and then the key to Las Vegas to the city being given to the Cannons, and the idea of this is the biggest offline esports tournament ever that they're and and so like breaking all those records and yada yada, like, okay, we're there, it's officially at that scale where the government is rolling in going, hey, what's going on over here, gamers?
Hey, you kids like them video games? And then like Mike Ross and the Cannons are in their fucking 40s going, dude, I'm like, I got gray hairs. Hey, man, I saw Mike. He's got some gray hair. He looks great.
Yeah.
He looks great with the gray hair.
Mike's cool. I love, he's been streaming and, playing and like his stream title is it's the most Mike Ross title ever, which is his streams are just called, Am I Ass?
That's tough.
And it's like, I might be, or I might be a god,
I don't know. I feel like he lives in this weird nexus of like, he's way better than me.
He's amazing. But
he's way worse than the people in top 96.
But the spirit of the statement is true in when you say it. So the moment you go, I'm ass, you are ass. Even if that's grand finals. And then when you make a hard read or turn a drop into a conversion, you're a god. You're a god. That's the only way.
Yeah, I meant to drop that. That was to fuck with them.
Immediately, every time. Both can be true. Tons of fun there. And let me just take a look here. What else is going on? Oh, yeah. Then there's just the part where you can... Vegas is around. So at some point, I'm like, okay, I go play the games a little bit. I've had fun in the past, and it's just like it's an evil thing to just do a little bit of blackjack, do a little bit of the only things I ever did is like a little bit of roulette, chill at blackjack for a bit, and then I learned about craps, and craps is fun. Obviously, you take the number that you're willing to lose, and that's it. You only fuck around with that. But apparently, since COVID, Vegas has cranked up its prices on the minimum tables. So what used to be like a $10 table is now a $25 table. So the time it would take you to sit there and lose $100, you could or make it, is now massively increased. So it's like, okay, maybe a little less playing this time around. But at the very least, I showed everybody, the Montreal crew, how to play some craps. And that's a fun game because it's a team activity. You win and you lose together. There's that you got to know when to hold them, when to fold them type of bit. And I can see that, like, when it comes to fighting games, Reggie's a clean, responsible player. I'll go YOLO with some bullshit. And then when it comes to gambling, it's the complete opposite. I'll be like, all right, no. I'm up, I'm out. That's good, right? And Reggie will be like, I'm playing the field a little bit. Here, let's jump in. Let's do it. And he'll just make these things because he's like, I got the amount that I'm willing to lose. So I'd rather be up or down than just even, And I'm like, oh no, I'm very happy being even and above. In fact, the tradition is put 100 on black as soon as we land, and that sets the tone. Sets the tone. So did it, brought everybody down, picked the table. We all won 100. Took that first 100, put that away. This is what I'm playing with now.
Yeah, my mom and dad would go to the casino when I was a kid, and I didn't quite understand the method that they used because I was like a child. I now look back at the same explanation and understand it. It's like, well, okay, we go and we have $200 that we're willing to spend at the casino, right? And this is like 94, right? So it's like, I don't know, like $500 now. And the way that it would work is that they would split up, and mom would lose her $200, and dad would make about 190, and then they would come home.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's how that system worked.
Amazing.
And then they would get dinner.
So that's it. Like in conclusion, Reggie plays fighting games like Chester, but he gambles like Red Shepherd.
I see.
That's what that was. That was cool. There's some other stuff we'll get into EVO related in terms of announcements and so on. But overall, stuff that was not great was hearing about the melting PS5s.
That's wild.
There was like there's a couple of stations where like people pulled out the USB and then the fucking connector came with it. And furthermore, Snafu lost his match in the most bullshit way possible because he had not even like a second controller connected from elsewhere. The connection to the internet dropped, which caused a pop-up that paused the game. That then led to, it was a round he was winning, and then the judge call was to restart it. But it's like, but that sucks because he was winning the round and the guy was burnt out, and like what about like the circumstance? And it's like, yeah, no, that's the ruling, and the ruling because and that's based on again the whole like if someone doesn't disconnect their PS4 controller, interrupts it, it's neither player's fault. Just restart the set, and I'm like, you're stealing someone's progress in that situation. That's garbage. So then, of course, they run it back, and it doesn't. He doesn't recreate the situation, and it doesn't go the same way.
Yeah. Now I know what to avoid to cause me to not lose that round.
Fucking sucks, man. But that's how he went out. And like when we saw that, like, what can you say? The rules just robbed you. To go out like that is a fucking bummer, man.
What he should do is they should just fucking fight for real afterwards.
In the moment I saw it pause the game,
wow,
all of my instincts were okay, just hold it on that screen, don't quit, wait, And then once the guy, the pool runner was like, oh, like we just like restarted or so. It's like, hold on, what about the life lead? What about the disadvantage? What about the round? And there was like, he's like, okay, well, I would have to call for a ref, which he then never did. But I was like, I should have told him stay on that screen, you know. But anyway, they already went back to character select at that point. But that makes it all the more fucking impressive. Where in grand finals, when Mena and Angry Bird are fighting, and Mena's controller disconnects, right? And that's an immediate round loss. And the rules even specify that the players don't even get to deny that because they don't want to make anyone the bad guy or whatever. So it's supposed to happen that way. And I think somewhere else in the bracket, someone had to come back and fight a match that they won again because of the rulings. Like there's some crazy shit that happens, right? That
you gotta have somebody on hand for anything within a certain state, within a certain rank of the tournament. You have to have somebody there to be available for this kind of nonsense,
right? So, but Angry Bird is such a fucking beast that he just leans over. He's like, "Yo, run it, unpause. Let's just keep playing." Like, what a sportsman, just fucking infinite respect on that. And not only did like Mena was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Yeah, right, let's continue," and they just continue. But right after that, he drive rushes in, and then Mena does a drive reversal on it, and then spends the drive so that they're both back down from the moment that it refilled while they're waiting to see what was happening. So like they even resume, and he spends some of his drive, and then they continue the fight. And it's like, what a fucking awesome way, you know, like to go about that if both players are good with it. Incredible. Like the type of player that was probably just like, yeah. Everyone would take the round, you know, and it's like, I wanna continue where we were and win that, and I want to win this way. So just amazing with that. The switching back and forth between Blanket and Luke was a wild strategy I've never seen before. Let's try to confuse the matchup by making it left and right.
Super
and
normal. Now I'm gonna play super stupid.
Exactly, the most responsible versus the most irresponsible play, and that's what it looks like. Most people have a main and then a secondary. Like Mena has two mains. And that's what it looks like when you have two mains and you can alternate back and forth, you know. Didn't work at the end, but that was just a great time all around. The PS5 problems are the main issue, I would say. And it sucks that Sony would sponsor an event or like want to have Evo be a major thing, but not do something like disconnect all controllers. Tournament settings to help with that, or why is it online anyways? It doesn't need to be online for an offline tournament. Why is a connection message popping up?
Those are different departments, is what my gut says.
You know,
is the department that is involved in actually making that kind of interface change has nothing to do with the marketing nerds that are sending out PS5s.
Only one person can save us now. Pokimane.
Oh yes, Pokimane. Yeah,
from the heavens. She's got a you know. I mean, she's already picked the whole thing off the ground and cradled it like Marissa, and now she's got to defend us on behalf of Sony's just inability to get this shit right. So anyway, that's how it went down, and I still wish we could get top 8 instead of top 6. It must feel bad to be like 7th or 8th place, but you didn't get to the main stage, whereas every other year you would. I know that's because Rick wants things to run on a much tighter ship for scheduling, but for those players, you know, you always kind of look at it's always been 8. So anyway,